All right. How is everyone doing today? Hope everyone's doing well. I know I'm doing good. Glad to be here for Canna Talk episode 3. Topic of today is going to be Canada, compassion, and discrepancies. Yeah, I'm actually kind of excited for this one. I feel like this one's gonna be fun. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, like I said, I hope you guys are all doing well today. I know I am. Glad to be here. But yeah, let's kind of get down to it. So basically, I'll kind of be going around a lot of different topics, but the main topics of today is going to be about Canada's new legalization of cannabis, and that's medically and recreationally, and I think decriminalized, so full legalization of cannabis going down in Canada. And that actually happened quite a while ago, a couple weeks already now. And I'll also be talking about the compassion program. Oh, Alpha Lion, thank you for the lurk, my dude. But yes, I'll be talking about compassion, and what I mean by that is a compassion program, which is like a care package, basically. A monthly care package that my dispensary used to provide for our patients, for our low-income patients that really needed it but couldn't really spend the money to get those more expensive, like higher CBD products. Because for those of you that don't know, Ark, yay, thanks for stopping by, bro. Glad to have you here. Glad to have both you guys here. But yeah, it's a program that we used to do, but now unfortunately we can't anymore due to some regulations, and I'll get more into that. And discrepancies is the last one. Discrepancies, man. There are quite a few things I'm gonna be going in with that, but yeah, let's just let's hit it off right now. Let's start it up. So, Canada, they just legalized, and man, it is great. It is great. But unfortunately for them, it isn't. They have to, from what it sounds, and from what I've been hearing from other people, is that they actually have to get their cannabis from the government, like kind of like a delivery service. And I'm not really too sure how that works, just because given that they did legalize, that doesn't mean that they get regular dispensaries like how they do here in California, and of course, here in California, we're a little spoiled. We have quite a few dispensaries up and down the state. But I guess for Canada right now, even though they have legalized, they're actually in a better legal state than they are than California is right now, and yet they have to jump through way more hoops just to actually get access to what they need, like their medicine. It's kind of messed up. And basically, what the reasoning is behind that is because it's kind of like how it is here in California. They have to go through a bunch of testing. Apparently, the testing is going to be a lot more extensive than how our California testing is, and I thought ours was bad, But yeah, it's crazy. So from what I've been researching, they do have dispensaries, out there, but I guess it takes a much longer time for those companies or those distributors to actually get the licensing and stuff to actually distribute their product. you know. Um, and yeah, it's super unfortunate. I can tell you that. Like, it sucks super hard. um, but it all takes time. It even takes time for us. We're still getting through a lot of other things, and honestly, our regulations right now are still being changed. It's literally changing all under our feet right now. It's kind of crazy. But I hope that things will get better for Canada, and I'm sure it will. But yeah. So the next topic I had was compassion. So what my shop. Oh yeah, I was wondering where that music went. So my shop, they basically they focus on the medical side and the caring side of this cannabis industry. And back in the day, back in the day, that means before this year, I'm talking about January 1st was when regulations changed. Before January 1st, things were a lot different as far as regulations go and how you could distribute and just carry out the whole seed to sale process. The milligrammage on edibles were also different. We're now maxed out at 100 milligrams for a specific edible, and before that you could make them as high as you wanted to. But along with that became a lot more testing, and I actually was talking about that a lot in my last Canna Talk. The testing has been a huge thing for us, and this phase 3 testing where they're gonna have to be testing for water activity in edibles. I I still don't get that one. And I'm sure they don't. I'm sure the BCC, the Bureau of Cannabis Control, doesn't either. But going back to the topic at hand, we used to have a program for our low-income patients to basically get cannabis or cannabis products for free, or for a discounted, or for a much discounted rate, say like 99%. Yeah, so things were definitely, I could tell you, a lot different back then, because now with all of the testing and also all of the taxes have been the huge thing also as well. Like I said in my last Canna Talk, the taxes here, especially in my county, they are 27.75%. So, imagine something being $35, just the regular markup, and then now it's actually being like $45, maybe closer to $50. It's insane. It's insane, I'm telling you. Like $40 to $45, maybe not $50, but yeah. So given that we also can't get anything for free. We used to have a lot of things just given to us for free, just because they would have some products that weren't quite up to their standards. I thought the funniest one was we have this gummy company, and they used to give us a bunch of gummies that had like very tiny air bubbles in them. And just because they had the air bubbles in them, they were still the same milligram. There was nothing wrong with the milligrammage. So, I mean, the people who were used to taking the same like 10 milligram gummy or 5 milligram gummy, they could still take that with those compassion edibles. There was nothing wrong with them. It was just that they had the tiny little air bubbles in them. So they gave us a bunch, and we were able to turn that back onto our patients, and it was a huge program that we had, that our manager had put together, and even before at her old place when she was doing that. Oh, hey. Yo, how's it going, Marty? But yeah, so we used to get floated a bunch of stuff back then, but now things are obviously different. We can't get anything for free, so that means everything to us either has to be like, you know, $1 or a penny. Jay chilling, man. Good to see you, dude. Thank you, man. Thank you. Glad to have you here, showing some support, dude. But yeah, so you know, things were, like I said, a lot different, and now on top of that $1 or 1 penny, there has to be an excise tax. So even then, still, we'll probably have to pay, you know, like maybe a couple bucks here and there for the compassion stuff now. You know, which is fine. Well, we can eat like $5, you know, for a bunch of product that we can, you know, give to our low income people. I think that's why we started our dispensary at the end of the day. That's why they started this spot, and because we care more for the patients rather than caring for the money, you know, and which is why they've won awards and stuff like that. But yeah, so, but that's beside the point. So basically, I'm sure there are other dispensaries out there in California that were probably doing something similar, where they were either giving away or having a huge discount on products, and they were giving that to more low income people, and of course they had to like sign a paper that shows that and like show their pay stubs that shows that they make a certain amount of money. But yeah, I'm sure that those other dispensaries out there are taking a huge hit as well, and that kind of sucks, not gonna lie, because and the reason why I talk about this today is because I actually had a patient come in, because we are just now getting these compassion things started again, and we actually had one bag ready for someone that came in today, and that person didn't expect it, and so like this person was just like so unbelievably thankful. Like they like obviously was getting very emotional, but as you can see, like for those people that really do need it and they can't spend that money to get the more expensive products that really do help them, you know, they're gonna be unbelievable, like they're gonna be incredibly indebted to you, you know. It's yeah, you know, it's a give and take. But yeah, so what I also wanted to get into was the discrepancies. Yes. So basically what I mean about that is actually something that I was talking about. I can't remember if it was in my first Canna Talk or the second one, but basically we have been having multiple times where when we get product in, we always pay COD, cash on delivery, and so we don't have to deal with any like debts or anything like that, or making sure we have to pay people. We just pay people right there, because you know, I'm sure most dispensaries do that, but it's just the easiest way, so you don't have to deal with any type of discrepancies. Exactly. So, oh, thanks for the lurk, Eric. Yeah, nightmare. But whatchamacallit? Yeah, so basically what I just had a problem with today, and what I was having a problem with definitely in the past, is that we have been having vendors come and tell us that we are not paying them. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. our process is once we get it, we count everything, we count out all the money. It goes through a bunch of processes. We even have them sign the paper saying that we paid. We have them sign our paper saying that we paid, and that's that. So I mean, you would think that it would be simple, right? It's a very transparent process, but I guess not at the end of the day, because I'm not gonna name any names. Just like I said in the first one, I'm not gonna name where I work at, where any of these businesses or who are any of these businesses are. But we had a vendor email us and say that we hadn't paid, and so we brought out our invoice that has the driver's signature right there that says paid in full right under the damn thing. And we're like, yo, we paid this stuff. We have the invoice. Your invoice number matches the same invoice number that's on this paper right here. So there's nothing you can tell me that we didn't pay. And I feel like that's happened to us about like 3 or 4 times within the past like few months. And basically they just automatically assume when the main company doesn't get paid, like the main like edible or whatever company doesn't get paid, then they automatically assume that the dispensary was the one that didn't pay. And I'm like, you should take one step back, not go all the way back to the beginning, you know? Like, ask the driver where the money went, or ask the distributor where the money went. Like, I'm sure there's more people you can ask before you just ask us right away. And I'm 99.9% positive that that's what they're doing. I'm sure they're not going through any other people. They're just automatically assuming it's us. And I'm like, come on, we have never had any problems before. This is our, like, we always pay. Like, this is us. Like, come on now. We're known for this now, practically. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm telling you. And the fact that it happens more often than not is, it's kind of comical now, because I'm like, you guys you guys obviously are not doing your job of keeping track of where your money's going. So so my word of advice is to I was actually just talking about this with my roommates. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. Oh boy. But yeah, I can tell you it's crazy. And then so we also had another discrepancy today at work. So where there's another company that gives us gummies, and they're supposed to be, 100 milligrams of THC in there, and it's supposed to be, that's like, obviously that's the standard, like I said, and yet they come to us at 75 and expect us to pay the same amount that we have been paying for the 100 milligram. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because now that's a whole 25 milligrams less. That's a whole different experience for someone that's used to taking the same on the same regimen every time. I can tell you, like, our patient would be very disappointed, and I can surely tell you that they're not going to pay the same amount for something that's 25% less, but yeah, so that also has been happening quite a bit, which is kind of sad, is that due to the crazy testing requirements, and that because they can't go over, if they go over, then it gets denied completely. So it's either they get a little under, or that's it, exact or under. which exact has been very hard to find. And it's funny that I say that because we actually had the gummies in that same order, one of them actually being exactly 100 milligrams, which is very, very rare. And I almost kind of thought it was a hoax for a little bit. And then the other ones were testing at like 75. But it's funny how they can get that right, but they can't get the other ones right. And yet be so much under. And I'm like, how would you even let those even get out? Why would you even let a product that's not like that's not the usual one from what you're selling? Like, why would you even let that get out at the end of the day? Wouldn't that just give you a bad name? But you would think, right? But it's funny because I was talking about this with my other coworkers, is that people still think that the dispensary makes all of the products that they sell. And I can tell you for a fact that never happens. Not anymore, at least. Because you have to get lots of more licenses and lots of more permits, lots of all that stuff in order just to even make the product at the end of the day, you know? It's thousands and thousands of dollars just to even get those things. So that's why we have to take all of our stuff from other people that make the product or either distribute the product, and then we do it that way. And that's pretty much how it was even back then. There was, if a dispensary made something in-house, it's gonna be like one or two things on the menu, not everything, you know. Or it's very rare that it would be everything. But yeah, I can't tell you how crazy it is trying to deal with all this stuff. And, you know, of course we have to now be more careful when taking in product, because we got to check for literally everything now. Making sure the labels are right, making sure the testing is correct, making sure we get our certificate of analysis papers, and even hell, at the end of the day, even making sure that we're being charged for the right things, because even that happens as well. And that's a whole nother one. That's a whole nother thing as well. But I do kind of want to get into. This is another thing I also wanted to talk about. Just a little fact for if there are any of you guys that use a cannabis vape with a battery and like a little cartridge that you screw on, that is a whole thing that I feel like I should just talk about real quick, because it's funny how many returns we get on the vaporizer products, and we'll have people that will, you know, have it upside down so it'll leak and stuff, or they'll just have it on a battery that has a super high voltage and then it blows out the cartridge. And that's why we have now put in a lot of return policies, just because of all those returns, and there's not much we can do with it, because if you break it, then the only thing we can do is give it back to the vendor, and then the vendor can barely even do anything with it at the end of the day as well. So there are many different pros and cons to vape products, I can tell you. I would say the pros are definitely being able to have a smoke on the go. But I can tell you, and also do it in a discreet way. But the cons are surely that it has a lot of malfunctions. And it's funny, it's like they always say like, oh, you know, there are just those few in the batch, but we have some companies where it's like almost all of them in the batch are like that. And I'm like, that's kind of messed up. That's why we have now told everybody to use the same battery with the same cartridge. With the same company, I mean. So, if there's a company that makes a particular strain or cartridge, then they also make their own battery, which we also pick up as well. So we always tell people to use same company, and yet people will they'll still go outside. They'll still go outside of what we say, and they're like, oh, you know what? It burnt out, or it's not working anymore. And I'm like, well, did you use the same battery with the same cartridge? And then they're like, no. And I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do for you then. But most of the day, most of the time, we try to help out people and, throw them a bone sometimes, because some people just don't know at the end of the day. But yeah, so what I also wanted to get into was a little bit of cannabis news. And I was actually reading this article today about how this California cannabis business, let me see if I can find it. But here we go. Wow. All right, let's carry this over, and let's do this, and let's do this. Okay, perfect. So this is what I was talking about. So already you can see the headline: business associates arrested in California over marijuana murder for hire plot. So basically what these people were trying to do is that they were trying to kidnap and assassinate one of their business associates. They haven't really discussed as to what the reasons were, but the only thing they really did say was like that they were trying to resolve a dispute that was over $40 million, which I can see. But I could see it's like a huge problem, but I don't see why you would go to a point where you got to be crazy for hire a hitman or some shit. And for a hitman to be costing $3,000, no wonder they got fucking caught. Oh my goodness. I mean, if they even seen any movies that involve a hitman, they know like at least they're charging like $10,000. But yeah, I'm telling you, like, this business is cutthroat. People are crazy. People are crazy, man. But yeah, I can tell you that it's funny. A lot of deals go sour, and that actually will bring me into the next thing that I'll be talking about, which is actually the origin of the strain sour diesel, which I actually just learned about today. And this guy right here, AJ, he's actually one of the originators of the strain. And it's funny because it's not actually a sour-y smelling strain. It's not really like, pungent like that. It's more of a diesel-y type of smell, more of like actual like gas, like gasoline. But they kind of added sour onto there because of its history, and that's kind of what I'll be going into right now. So this dude AJ, he was, like I said, one of the originators of the strain sour diesel. He was living in California, and pretty much in the mid 90s, sour diesel was pretty much the strain in New York. Over in the East Coast, that was pretty much the best strain that everybody was smoking. And so when he was living in California, and when he moved over, when he went over to see a friend in New York, he tried some of the diesel that he had, and he was like, this stuff is amazing. This stuff is like nothing I've ever had before. And I live in California, where I thought that I had the best weed, but I guess not. So, so he was like, how do I get this? And from what he was saying, it was a pretty crazy, there's pretty crazy ways to get it. And just in order to get it, you had to really jump through a lot of hoops. And as it is, the strain costed $50 a gram. And for my cannabis people out there that know what a gram looks like and know how much a gram is, it's just a regular gram in weight. But $50 for that, and then it would be like it'd be like $100 for 2 grams, and then if you bought 22, it would be $1,000. So not even an ounce, and you're spending $1,000. Like, this stuff better be the best I've ever had in my life, period. And even then, still, I would probably like save it and probably like keep it, you know, because that's just insane. The fact that you would pay that much just for some flowers, you know. But he had this quote here, which I thought was kind of hilarious. Right here. So it's called sour diesel because it soured countless friendships, businesses, relationships, and everything else. And then he goes on to say, it was like a magical power. If you had it, people would do whatever you asked them to. But it was also an evil power. A lot of envy and jealousy surrounding it. There was nothing else like it. There still isn't. But at that time, there was nothing even close. People would throw each other off a cliff just to get it. Backstabbing and mind control went along with it. It was like the sword of Excalibur. People just couldn't handle it. So I feel like in that quote, you can kind of get how crazy the strain actually was. And it was really because that it soured a lot of friendships and a lot of businesses. So, and you know, it's crazy to see that just this plant is really what has been splitting up friendships, and you know, even getting people killed at some point too, you know. Back in the day, things were a lot different. But yeah, you know, at $50 a gram, it's just crazy. It's crazy that anybody would pay that price, and the fact that people did just amazes me. The fact that they're probably paying for weed that wasn't really all that great, especially right now. So like, obviously the stuff now is much better than it was back then. But apparently it was also named as a different strain as well. And then when he actually went to Amsterdam, it actually got cross-pollinated, and then out came sour diesel. So yeah, see, as I was saying, you could get if you bought 10 jars, 10 $100 jars, you would get 1 jar free. So that's 22 grams for $1,000. I just thought that was a kind of a funny story, and kind of a cool story as well. So for those of you that never knew the reason why sour diesel was called sour diesel, now you know. It's because the strain might as well have been sour. But yeah, I think that's just about it. I think I got a couple more stuff. No, people think. More. Oh. All right. I think there's maybe like one more that I could talk about. But yeah. So, what I have noticed is that with people here, let me go back to my regular screen. So, people feel that with the more money that a dispensary racks in means that more that employees will be getting paid out more. It's like, well, since the company is making money, well, why am I not making money? And it's a little different when it's in a dispensary because everything's so transparent with everybody. And especially if you're in like a big corporate business, obviously things are going to be a lot different when it comes to things like that. Just because Walmart is making more money doesn't mean the janitor at Walmart is going to make more money, you know? But I know that's kind of like two completely different scenarios, but you get what I'm talking about. But yeah, apparently there are people that have been thinking that with our dispensary's growth and how well we've been doing, or at least how well they think we've been doing, that we will be able to pay all the employees, including myself, more, you know? But it's not really like that at the end of the day, because actually with the more we make, the more we have to spend on licenses and permits. So there's a lot of truth and lies to that. But you know, I just feel like when you have a mentality like that, then you should at least think about the reason why you started the job in the first place. I started this job really to help people out, you know, and help people get on with their day, because I just love to help people. That's the reason why. It's the reason why I'm in Stream Raiders. The reason why I love to help out my other fellow streamers and help us, all win. I love winning. Who doesn't love to win? And who doesn't love to? And I come from a big family, and I come from playing team sports. I'm a huge basketball fan, and used to be a big basketball player. Back in those high school and middle school days. So I know all about teamwork and helping others. That's pretty much why I'm doing this right now, is to help you guys and educate you, and hopefully you guys learned something today out of this talk and my other talks. Yo, thanks off the line for the alert, bro. But yeah, I just love to help, and that's what's up. Because who doesn't love to help people at the end of the day? When you help someone, of course you're gonna feel good. So most of the time, depending on what it is. But I think I'm gonna bring this one to a close, because I think I've ran out of all the stuff, at least what I wanted to talk about in this particular Canna Talk, and it's going to about 45 minutes, so that's usually where I like to cut it off at. But yeah, so I want to thank you guys all for coming, for giving the lurks. It is definitely very much appreciated. I can tell you that. I'm always glad you guys are always to come in here and have me as your little talk show radio host or whatever. But Yeah, this was a pretty good Canna Talk. Got through a lot of stuff today. I definitely gotta do a better job of getting all the topics together and like getting them in like categories and stuff, and kind of talk about them in increments, or in their own groups. But yeah, this was a solid talk. Yeah, I again want to thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for lurking. Yeah, and I will for those of you that are from Stream Raiders, I'll see you guys in the Discord, and I may stream again. I may stream some Red Dead because the multiplayer is out, so gotta go check that out for sure. I was playing a little bit this morning, so might go do that. But yeah, thank y'all for coming again. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say it, but y'all are lit, and let's keep it many as usual, and deuces.